Hi there. Today, I want to do something a little different. I want to talk about Andy Hawkins and use this as an example of why baseball cards were special to my generation when I was a kid in the late 80s, early 90s. I recently opened some packs of 91 score and I happened to get this no hit club card for Andy Hawkins. Now, I honestly don't know anything about Andy Hawkins, wasn't a player I followed, but just out of curiosity, I went ahead and flipped the card over and just looked at the stats, and I noticed that for his no hit, the Chicago White Sox definitely didn't have any hits, but you can see in the run column they scored 4 runs, and meanwhile the Yankees, they had 4 hits, but they scored 0 runs, meaning that Andy Hawkins had a loss, which I thought, well, that must have been some sort of a misprint or an error. But luckily, in the same pack happened to be Andy Hawkins's regular card. So I flipped it over, and let me just read to you what it says. It says, Andy had a year in 1990 that was hard to believe. He lost a no-hitter 4-0 to the White Sox. He was the losing pitcher when Melito Perez threw his 6-inning no-hitter. He gave up 3 home runs to Bo Jackson in one game. He pitched a shutout for 11 innings and lost 2-0 in the 12th. He was demoted to Columbus in June and was only kept because the Yankees were short of pitchers. So Andy went out in his next 3 starts and gave up only 6 earned runs in 19.2 innings pitched, but didn't win. His 4th start was his losing no-hitter. I just want to go out there and have a plain game, said Andy. Now, I had no idea that Andy Hawkins was such a, bad luck kind of guy. But that's the thing. In 91, as a kid, I didn't have access to the internet, and this was the kind of information that really my generation could only glean from if we were watching TV, but the Yankees and the White Sox weren't likely to be broadcast in the West Coast where I live, so I probably wouldn't have had much of a chance to see this. Maybe magazines, Sports Illustrated, though I didn't have that subscription when I was a kid. So baseball cards was really the way that me and my friends in a lot of ways got our information, and some of these neat little trivia, bits of things that we would share back and forth about our favorite players or other players of note like Andy. Of course, nowadays you can go look and Google it up, and in fact, that's what I did when I saw this recently. Read up a little more on Andy Hawkins, and he actually was also of note because in 1988, if you remember, Oral Hershiser had his beat the streak. I think it was Don Drysdale. Was that who it was? I see now. Yep, Don Drysdale of consecutive innings pitched, and the only way that happened was because the final game of the season, Oral Hershiser and Andy Hawkins faced each other. Andy Hawkins was playing for the Padres at that time, and even if Oral Hershiser had pitched 9 innings of scoreless ball, he would have only tied Don Drysdale's record. But because Andy Hawkins also pitched shutout baseball for 9 innings, they went into extra innings, and Oral Hershiser was able to break Don Drysdale's record for scoreless innings. And in fact, neither of them got the decision because it went 16 innings. The 2 pitchers eventually got replaced. Also, Andy Hawkins pitched 12 innings in that particular game, and that was the last time up to this time that a pitcher has ever pitched 12 consecutive innings in a game. So, really interesting stuff, and things that I wouldn't have known if I hadn't stumbled across this card. And back in the day, these are bits of information that my generation, we really wouldn't have had without baseball cards. They gave us all the stats and history, and cards like these scorecards gave us nice little bits of trivia, at least until you got players like Nolan Ryan that filled up the entire section with stats. But I mean, this was one of the things that we loved about baseball cards, and I think it's probably lost now on the current generation of card collectors, but was definitely something special that me and my generation, we enjoyed about these cards. So I hope that was interesting to you. Thanks for watching.